Hello YouTube, this is WOOMOO and it's very nice to meet you. Hope you're ready for another transmission here. For this one, we're going to delve into ego, identity, shadow, and what true empathy is. How it's all kind of related and how you can learn from this and integrate it into your own life to become more whole, right? So what is the ego for starters? Now, the ego is your alter ego. It is a means in which you want the world to perceive you by. It's an idea of yourself in which you want others to perceive you. That isn't truly you, right? Now, that's not to say we don't all have an ego. I've got a huge one. Don't get me wrong there. But I'm cognizant of when my ego is at play, whereas most people aren't, I'm able to use it as a tool, whereas most people have it as a hindrance, right? Now, in contrast to the ego, you have the shadow, okay? I touched on in the episode before in regards to free will, the bicameral mind, the fight of the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of your brain, the masculine and the feminine, and how together in synchronicity, this brings about, the gnosis or the enlightenment, but that's another subject. But understanding you do have these polar sides of your thinking, right? Your consciousness. Now, your shadow is everything that your ego neglects, okay? It's everything that your perception of the world, it's everything you don't want the world, which is true to you, you're hiding from it. So it is what your ego protects from the world, you see? Now, why has that become so damaging to our lives? Understand what is disease? It is dis-ease. At least within the Western sphere, we've been brought up under this ideological sphere of Abrahamic religions in which we're taught, Jesus died for your sins. The greatest fucking guilt trip in existence, if in a linear space-time fashion. I'll get to that in another episode. But understand, we are programmed with negative emotion within us from others. We aren't born with that. That is a construct that others plant into your belief system. This is powerful. The most archaic, the oldest, and reason being because they're the best means of controlling a population are through fear and doubt, And so by impregnating them with these ideas of you should be guilty for that, or you should be guilty for thinking that, trying to dictate your thoughts. So understand, you don't control your own thoughts. You like to think you do. No, thoughts run through you. Ideas flow through you, okay? So if you were to have a thought run through you that a societal construct would tell you to perceive as being bad, if you accept that belief system, you automatically feel guilty for something completely out of your control, right? Now, understand that is purely done to maintain a construct of control. Always has been and will continue to do so until people actually wake up from that. But I digress, okay? So, ego and the shadow, they are two polars of the same whole. That is the Maya, that is the duality of life. You think the Mayans didn't get this? That is the illusion, that there is the other. Okay? So, learning to, forgive yourself, absolve yourself of guilt, understanding what is in your control, okay? Now, this is a really powerful sort of lens to see the world through, right? And you see it, perpetuated by, like an Eckhart Tolle, the power of now, or Ram Dass, be here now, the power of presence, the present time, and what that actually means. So, if you're holding on to the past, right? You hold a negative belief in attachment to the past. That is literally depression, okay? Worrying about the future, holding on to something that, again, and this is the theme of it, that hasn't happened yet, that is out of your control, the same way that the past that already is is out of your control. These don't serve anybody. Worrying about the future, that is anxiety. Worrying about holding on to the past, that is depression. All you're only ever in control of is right now. Your energy, how you feel about the present moment. If you can't enjoy the present moment, if you can't do nothing, how do you expect to do anything? Right? But if you can do nothing, you can do anything. That's the funny part of it. It's like the act of wanting is just kicking the can down the road because it assumes you don't already have it when you are all that is. You already do have it. You just need to shift energetically to it. But I digress. So this integration of the shadow, I mean, this is a Jungian concept which is very much in the zeitgeist at the moment. It is the inner aspects of your psyche which are true to you, which represent the whole self, which you choose to neglect through external belief systems and people dictating your own thoughts. That is essentially what it is, right? And then your identity, that is your ego, you form around these external belief systems, these structures, these matrices, which aren't truly you. Because identity doesn't exist. You're everything and nothing at the same time. You are polarity, you know? Like, the I doesn't exist. It's we. Anyway, it's a very powerful thing. Once you come to learn to accept those darker aspects of oneself, and not only that, then learn to love them, and understand that they don't need to be expressed through negative behavior, but through artistic means, through helping others. I mean, just being rational, going, is this actually a bad thing? Should I feel guilty about smoking a doobie outside because Copperman said no? It's like, you know what I mean? Anyway, just a little food for thought. I'll get onto the empathy in another episode, but for now, I just want you to understand, so this division of self that you find within the ego and the shadow, this is then reflected in your macro experience of reality. The division in the world that you see today is a manifestation of sort of the inner turmoil, the inner divide of oneself. You know, I was on a dating app the other day and I was speaking to this silly girl, God love her, she had great intent, so no harm done. But I had this opening line, what are you most passionate about? And she goes, Indigenous health. And I knew I was in for a fight here. I know the type. So I go, why Indigenous health? Why not just health? Then she's like, oh, because, you know, they've gone through this generational trauma and this, that, the other. And, well, yes, I get that. But, like, how long is a piece of string? Like, you know, it is until it isn't. You know, by treating them differently, you are creating an other within our society. And the same goes for all Indigenous cultures across the world. By treating them differently, you assume that they are different. You are self-perpetuating the problem. You know, and often these well-intended, often left-wing, little radical chicks with fucking hair under their arm, that shit. You know, they're the ones that are perpetuating this thing like the welcome to country and what have you. You know, you're tokenizing a wonderful ancient culture of our Indigenous land. You are the problem. It is such a disrespect to their native ancestral cultures and beliefs and absolving them of their own responsibility and their own accountability for their own poor behavior. You're just allowing them to perpetuate that bad behavior and actually introduce that as generational trauma in of itself, removed from what the actual trauma was initially. It's retarded. It's like, man, and you know, have you actually ever spoken to some Indigenous people? Man, like, I was in the methadone clinic for a few years in Redfern, which is the Aboriginal heart of Sydney City. It's like, man, I speak to these people. I hang out with them. Like, they're just people. You know, stop treating them like they need more, but like, you know, that isn't what they want. Yeah, and it's... Anyway, I digress. That's been another little WOOMOO transmission. Till next time, peace out.